Today, I went to an informal lecture on the health benefits of nutrient-dense vegetables by chef and author Cathy Thomas and hosted by the good people at Melissa's Produce. I arrived a little early, so I decided to take a little tour of the venue, Chef's Toys. They are a chef and restaurant supply store that's open to the public. And all I have to say is, wow! You can find some really cool stuff in there. I also met Chef Bill Bracken, owner of the Bracken's Kitchen food truck. He's a really great guy who uses the truck as a charity on wheels, providing nutritious meals to those who need it the most in the ongoing fight against hunger. He was parked outside and was serving some of Cathy's favorite recipes.
Oh, no worries. No, just tell me about...
Bracken's Kitchen is a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to hunger relief in Orange County. We started about 3 years ago, and in the past year we've been driving this beautiful old truck Betsy around and feeding people, partnering with other nonprofits like the Illumination Foundation and Working Wardrobes and Miracles for Kids, and come out and offer food to their clients and the people that they work with. One of the biggest things we're working on now in 2016 is our trio of services, which is our food truck feeding program, which is you see behind me, along with our rescued food program and our culinary training program. So we're working with the Orangewood Foundation to take young kids aging out of the foster system and bring them on board to give them culinary training, in the process taking rescued food from hotels and restaurants and turning it into healthy, nutritious meals for those who need it most. So we're really excited about these trio of services and where we're going in 2016.
Yeah, okay. Can you tell me about the stuff you're serving today?
Absolutely. Today's menu is all from Cathy Thomas's recipes from her book. Menu's right up there, but it's a no-noodle Chinese chicken salad with a peanut ginger sauce, her version of an Asian chicken salad, and what she calls prairie caviar, which is a black bean, corn, and tomato salsa. And then we have pomegranate lemonade to wash it all down.
Awesome.
All out of Cathy's book. I think it's Melissa's great book of produce. The recipes are on that book with Melissa's produce.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Did you get enough to eat? You got some more?
I'm probably going to grab some more of this caviar.
Please do. We got lots of it.
It's so good.
Hi, Chef. How are you?
What's up, buddy? You hungry?
Yes, sir.
Help yourself. There's some plates right up front there, unless you need a special large portion. Look at Dougie working in the parking lot over there, man.
This would be cute for dessert. Ramekins for desserts, creme brulees, similar to what you've seen in restaurants. Little sauce boats, Sunday dishes. Ice cream scoops of different sizes. Mixing bowls and salad bowls. Snow cones. Nacho cheese warmer. Popcorn. Fires. It's all more restaurant equipment. Refrigeration systems.
Yes. Right. I wanted to first thank Melissa's Produce for supplying all the produce today and partnering with us on this event. Thank you so much. Woo! Everybody clap. I'd also like to thank Chef Bill Bracken. If you don't know Chef Bill and the Bracken's Kitchen, please talk to the folks outside and get to learn all the wonderful things they're doing in support of the community. I'm pleased to announce that effective today, we are selling these 3 new cookbooks at our store. So Melissa's Great Book of Produce, the 50 Best Plants on the Planet, and we also have Everyday Cooking with organic produce. So the common theme, of course, the author of those books is no other than Cathy Thomas. Cathy was once honored as the best food columnist in the nation from the Association of Food Journalists. Make sure you check out our website at cathythomascooks.com. From there, you'll find some great content and links to her YouTube channel with dozens, if not hundreds, of great cooking tips and interviews with some of the top chefs, not only locally, but also from around the world. So if you haven't already had one of your books signed, if you don't have one, please purchase one before you leave today. And without further ado, I will hand it over to Cathy Thomas. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate all your kind words, and it's so nice to see so many people here today, and I recognize a lot of very friendly faces. So for almost 27 years, I've been writing about food and people who cook and trends and chefs, and with a goal in mind of making home cooking interesting, fun, delicious, and foolproof. Yes, I write those recipes in a way that I think that nothing can go wrong. But sitting in the newsroom and answering phone calls occasionally would remind me that things can run amok. And those conversations would often start like this. What makes you think you can cook? Now, I knew I was in trouble with that line. And I would say, oh, you had some problems. And they would say something like, that spinach basil soup you had in the paper last week, even the dog wouldn't eat it. So I would always respond cheerfully, let's go through the recipe together and see what might have gone wrong. So you started with 4 cups of fresh baby spinach. No, I didn't have any fresh spinach. I used canned. Well, okay, and then you added the 1 cup of fresh basil leaves. No, I didn't have any fresh basil. I used the kind in the jars. And it took a lot of those jars to make a cup. And I'm thinking to myself, can you imagine what the color of this concoction would be? But I think there's one redeeming possibility of possibly saving it a little. And I say, so you added a cup of heavy whipping cream. No, I didn't have any whipping cream. I added cottage cheese. So I always try to remain positive and happy, and hopefully by the end of the conversation, that reader and I had become fast friends. But so questions from readers still roll in about fruits and vegetables. And it's something that is a problem especially for people who shop once a week and who go out and buy all the produce, bring it home, and they complain about spoilage. So I always advise those readers to read the book and to learn which vegetables are perishable, which will last a few days, and which will last a long time, and to buy a nice mix so that not everything has to be cooked the first day. And then clean out your vegetable drawer and arrange it that way. So let's say you have ripe avocados and asparagus. Those are going to go at the front because you're going to use those up first. Then at the very back, you've got that cabbage, which is going to last a long, long time. And then in the middle, you've got those in-between things, the cucumbers, the chard, the artichokes, and the broccolini, so that you're just working your way through and you won't have any spoilage. A lot of people have problems with lettuce. There's a lot of lettuce murder going on out there. No one seems to go to jail, but if they knew the secret, there'd be a whole lot less unhappiness with lettuce. So I'm going to put this mic down, and I'm going to talk really loud, and I'm going to talk about how to prevent lettuce murder. Okay, so nice head of red leaf lettuce here. You can use a ceramic knife, or they have these plastic lettuce knives, and if you cut the root end off like this, that will prevent the browning because it's a nice sharp knife and it's plastic and the metal isn't going against it. So I do this as soon as I get home from the market. But when I'm buying the lettuce, I look at it and I make sure that it smells good, that it looks fresh, and I examine the tips of the lettuce because that's where the deterioration starts. So as soon as I get home, before I put I put the ice cream away. But after I put the ice cream away, I start in on the lettuce. So I cut off that root end, and then I get my salad bowl. Now, the salad bowl is another thing. I keep the salad bowl right next to the sink because we eat salad every day. And so I don't have to hunt for it. When I go to my daughter Alexis's house, she keeps her salad bowl in a nest with other bowls on top, in a cupboard down underneath, so you have to get down on your hands and knees and pull it out, and then rank it. By the time you get it out, you're not in the mood for salad anymore. So anyway, so wash it back to the lettuce murder. So I get out this nice salad bowl, fill it full of cold water, and I put the lettuce in, and I just simply swish it around so that every leaf is clean and every leaf is wet. It's very important to keep lettuce moist when you store it. You know how they are always misting it at the market? They do that so that the exterior cells will be filled with water, which keeps it fresh. You don't want it sopping wet, just a little bit wet. So you swirl it around, then I put it into a colander for about 2 minutes while I put the rest of the groceries away. Then I give it one shake. I get out a clean kitchen towel, spread it out, take the damp lettuce and spread it out on the towel, and if the interior core is still together, that's okay. And then I simply loosely roll it up like this, put it into a plastic bag, and into the refrigerator. And that will last that way for between 5 and 8 days. And if it's romaine, it'll last longer. I would like to just share with you some exotic and everyday vegetables and fruits. And I think the more exotic ones don't get scared. And of course, they're all, like I said, in this book. I think every serious food writer in America has a copy of this reference book on their desk. And it tells you, how to choose it, how to store it, all of those things. So let's start with probably the most unusual thing on the table. And this is a rambutan. And it tastes a little bit like a lychee or a lychee, but it looks like it's from Dr. Frankenstein's laboratory because it's got these little fuzzy things on the outside. They're not prickly, they're friendly, and Skin's a little bumpy. If you have a good thumbnail, you can just cut around this with your thumbnail, or you can just take a knife and cut around. I was teaching a class one night at Suratov, and I passed these out, and I told them, you know, to pinch them out or pull them out, and then to eat around the seed that's in the middle. But the lady in the front row was talking when I was talking, and she wasn't listening, and so she chewed the whole thing up, seed and all. She said it wasn't very good. So you just want to eat around that seed. It has a tropical taste. It's not quite as fragrant as a lychee, but it's like those tropical tastes of mango and those kind of pineapple-y tastes and banana. And so they're really, really delicious. And plus they're fun to scare little kids with. Now, Robert was passing these around earlier. Do you mind if I pass these around, Robert? These are cotton candy grapes, and they really taste like cotton candy. And are they new on the market this year?
Yeah, well, the cotton candy grapes have been around for 4 seasons, but it's one of those grape varieties that comes around the summer season. You hear about it, and then you go to the store, and they're not there. Well, this is the first time we actually got our growers where it is summer below the equator in Chile and Peru, and this is the first week you guys are going to be the first ones to try cotton candy grapes at this time of the season, and they definitely taste like summer grapes.
All right. Kumquats are so underrated. Chefs understand how delicious they are because they have this sweet, tangy, bitter edge, because the outside, it's like an inside-out orange. The outside is sweet and the inside is sour. And so you can take a very mundane, something like a grilled lamb chop, or a grilled pork chop, or some chicken breast, and you can make a little relish with kumquats. And I like to put in a little bit of vinegar, a little bit of sugar, some dried red pepper flakes, some red onion, and some sliced kumquats. Make that little relish and put that over the top, and it's so perky. Some pastry chefs I know are putting sliced kumquats in their crumbles and in their desserts where they just want to add a little wonderful piece of vibrancy to the dish. And inside there's seeds. Usually not too many. The little ones are fine, but as you get to the middle, you'll see the seeds in the middle of the fruit, and you can just pluck those out and then just continue slicing. The little seeds don't matter. So just remember that it's vice versa. So if you lose a little bit of that interior flesh, you still have the sweetness of the skin. But let's take a look at this, because this is one of my very favorite vegetables. This is Gai Lan, G-A-I, new word, L-A-N, and it is Chinese broccoli. And if you compared it with common broccoli, I think you'd like this one better. It really has a nice taste. It's smooth. It's a green taste, but it's just completely alluring, and the stems are crunchy and offer a nice contrast to the creaminess of the leaves on top. And it is one of the 50 most nutrient-dense fruits and vegetables on the planet, which we're going to talk about in the next talk. But Gai Lan, some supermarkets have it, but usually you have to go to an Asian market to find it. But like everything else, in another couple of years, every supermarket's going to have this because they're going to create a demand. So how do you cook it? I like to cut it in like 2-inch pieces, and I steam it, or I blanch it, and I put a nice Asian kind of vinaigrette with it, or if I want to give it kind of a European look, I give it a little bit of butter and balsamic vinegar and just toss it. Or you can just toss it with some oyster sauce. Of course, I like to cite the cauliflower as a good example for a story about nutrient density. because between my junior and senior year in college, I went to Paris to meet the family of the man I was going to marry. So off I went, and on that very first French meal, seated around Grand-Mère's dining room table in Paris, I had my first French 8-course dinner. And I think the third course was cauliflower au gratin. And I want you to just imagine this college girl who grew up in Van Nuys, California, in this exquisite dining room. And in the middle is this casserole, and all of the florets of cauliflower are facing up. They're all rounded and draped over the top as Mornay sauce, with French butter, French cream, and Gruyere cheese. And it bubbles around the edge of the casserole. And then over the top are these crisp French breadcrumbs. Crisp, big, textural contrast, and French butter. I took one bite of that cauliflower, and I knew I had found my people. So, back at home, I grew up in a home that we had 2 to 3 fresh vegetables every night. My friends described my mother as a health nut. She was a disciple of the nutritional guru of the day, Adele Davis. Now, what did Adele Davis preach? Fresh vegetables, fresh fruit, lean protein, and exercise. Sound familiar? But this was back in the 50s and 60s when people were eating frozen TV dinners and Wonder Bread. I never my entire childhood saw Wonder Bread. So I get back from France and I sit down with my mother and I say, I don't understand it. I have this great cauliflower au gratin dish. And I described it to her like I described it to you. And she looked at me like I had gone over to the dark side. And she said, I asked her, all of these vegetables, and we very rarely ever had cauliflower. What was the deal? And she said, well, there's nothing wrong with cauliflower. It's just that the cruciferous cousins are much more nutrient dense. So if you're eating broccoli or you're eating cabbage or you're eating Brussels sprouts, you're getting more vitamins and minerals. Cauliflower's fine, but the others are better. Kale. Who could possibly have imagined what would happen to kale when we all figured out that if you chop it and marinate it, you can eat it raw and it's delicious. The marination changes it from something leathery and tough into something more malleable and more flavorful, especially if that vinaigrette and that salad has good stuff in it. I think you really know something is a trend when you go to Costco and you go to Trader Joe's and they have kale salads. Every menu has a kale salad, and there's kale salad at Albertsons. But I love the one in the book, because the one in the book, the vinaigrette has a little bit of maple syrup in it, which I think really balances out the greenness of the kale. I also put in some chopped dates, which amps up that sweetness, and some toasted almonds, so that there's a lot of textural contrast and crunch. It's a great salad. I marinate it for about 30 minutes and serve it, but you can refrigerate it and serve it the next day, and it's still delicious. That are here. And 2 different kinds of kale. We've got the curly kale and the black or the Tuscan kale. And the curly kale is the most common, and I grow this in my yard. Grows like crazy, and the squirrels don't eat it. I grow this in my yard too, but the squirrels eat it. This is the black or the Tuscan or the Lacinato, and this looks kind of like, I think it looks like a quill. And some books will tell you to take a knife and cut out that central stem, and you can certainly do that. But I think the easiest way is to just get it started. And this is really a tough one. But ordinarily, this is awe-inspiring way to do it. And you just cup your hands and pull out the stem like that. So what you've got left is just the leafy part. And that works with this too. Get it started. And then pull out the stem. Now, in Italy, I've seen them take these stems, and they cut them into pieces like so, and they gratinate them with a little olive oil and cheese on the top, and put them, they blanch them first, then they put a little cheese and butter on the top and put olive oil and put them underneath the boiler. So they don't throw them away, or they put them in minestrone. But kale, who knew? When I was in high school, the only kids that wanted to sit next to me were the Italian kids, because I had really crazy stuff in my lunch, like well, I was always on whole wheat bread, these sandwiches. And they might have, red bell pepper and slivers of lamb and cold green beans. No one wanted my lunch. Now it would probably be de rigueur in the schoolyard, I don't know. But the Italian kids had weird stuff too. They had eggplant and grilled peppers in their sandwiches, so they wanted to sit next to me, because we talk about our miserable childhoods together. And they said that the worst thing about their childhoods was they had to go driving on the weekends with their grandparents. And they would drive around the valley looking for ill-kept yards. And they would make the kids get out of the car and collect dandelion greens. And then the grandparents would take them home, cook them, eat them. I saw those kids once at a reunion, and they said their grandparents were still alive in their late 90s. This turns out that dandelion greens is one of the most nutrient-dense things that grows on this planet. And it is a favorite in Italy and in France. And they serve it with unctuous things that give it a really nice taste, like bacon or really creamy cheese. And it's delicious. It's a little bitter, but if you put it with bacon, it tastes really good. So my supermarket has the dandelion greens. They're really great. Lots of good ways in the book to cook them. Very underrated. Turnips. And of course the greens are good for you too. But my French mother-in-law taught me that if you make a stew and you put in one turnip, it's delicious. If you make a pot roast, you put in one turnip along with all the other vegetables. It's delicious. When Miss Berkeley comes to town, we have vegetarian bean soup. We call it Christie soup. And it's a beautiful vegetarian bean soup, but it has turnips in it. So it has that little bit of edge that make it exciting and delicious. So we love turnips. I talked about mosh earlier. Is there any, what's the most nutrient-dense vegetable that grows on planet Earth? Asparagus. Some people like it skinny, some people like it plump. It's all up to you. But whatever it is, it's really good for you. And it's really got a lot of things in it that aid health, and it's delicious. And, you gotta eat your asparagus. Anything else, Robert, that I didn't talk about? I don't think I talked about this. It's not one of the most nutrient-dense things that grow on the planet. I meant to talk about it as part of the Melissa's Great Book of Produce. But sweet young coconuts, they're so good. And you take off the top, and inside it's like coconut pudding. It's not hard because it's immature. So you get a spoon, and you just spoon out that coconut meat. And it's soft, and it's delicious. And of course you can drink the coconut water inside. But I like to take it and lop off the top, or there's also something called a Cocoa Jack. That's really a cool thing that you can see me working with on the inventor. If you go to cathythomascooks.com and type in young coconut at the top. Anyway, it's a lot of fun and a challenge to get the top off. And then you can drink it, and then you can serve it as a vessel for holding coconut rice, or any kind of rice. It is delicious, and you can spoon up the rice with the coconut meat and have a nice martini and really have fun. So, any questions? You guys, no questions? Yes.
Okay, your asparagus that you have, the white and the green.
Yes.
Similar flavors?
Similar but different. White asparagus is a real treasure. You have to be careful not to overcook it. Every spring in Germany, they have a white asparagus festival. You can go and eat white asparagus at every meal. It's one of my goals. Maybe Melissa would like to go to the white asparagus festival. What do you think, baby? We'll just get on a plane, send a note. We'll be home in 5 days.
Does everybody know why white asparagus is white?
Yeah, do you know why?
Grows in the dark.
Because it
Robert?
grows,
Okay, well, white
Yes.
asparagus.
it grows in the dark.
Yes.
That's right. So before it sprouts, they keep on piling dirt on, so it doesn't. Because when the sunlight touches the root as it grows into a stalk, photosynthesis occurs and it turns green. There's only 2 colors naturally that happen on asparagus: green and purple. However, if you keep piling dirt on it or keep it in the shade and let it grow, it won't photosynthesize, and then you have white asparagus. You see the difference between how it doesn't bud, and in here it actually buds. You can see that it's growing that way. And it's neat because you just lop off the top, right at the bottom where the ground is, and then it'll start sprouting back up again. If you've ever grown it before there, but that's the reason why there's white asparagus, because man allowed it to do by piling dirt on top of it and not photosynthesizing. That's the only vegetable they actually do that for. So it's pretty cool.
So are the
Now,
nutrients different then between the white and the green?
There's no chlorophyll.
yes.
Thank you so much for coming. It was such a pleasure to have you, and such a pleasure to work with Melissa's and Chef's Choice
Okay.
and Bill Bracken. If you don't know Bill, you got to go say hi to Bill because he's an amazing chef. He was a longtime executive chef at Island Hotel in Irvine and the Peninsula in Beverly Hills. He's a wonderful, joyous human being who cooks and distributes good food to people in need in Orange County out of his red food truck, Betsy. And he is a joy, and he is the sunshine. So thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.